From a nationally ranked junior player to a successful college career, time on the pro tour, and a lifetime in coaching, few have the Hall of Fame credentials of Gery Groslimond.
Gery was taking 9 and 10-year-olds all the way through college and taking them from zero all the way to the top. And so there's no one better.
He was an unbelievable player, but just looking at who he's coached, I mean, there's just no one that deserves this more than him.
Groslimond grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida. At an early age, he developed an interest in tennis and taught himself to play. Soon he rose to the top 10 national ranking in juniors in 14s, 16s, and 18s.
Being self-taught is exactly who you'd think Gery would be. Is very motivated, very disciplined, very driven. And the fact he achieved so much that he did as a junior and as a college tennis player, coming from very humble beginnings in Florida, is a testament to his sheer determination and resilience.
His junior success would soon turn heads as he was recruited by Stanford University and legendary coach Dick Gould.
For Stanford to recruit a kid from the other side of the country when Southern California and Northern California are such hotbeds for tennis, it shows how great he was.
Groslimond would join the same recruiting class as Roscoe Tanner and Sandy Mayer, as he played number 4 singles and number 2 doubles on the first of Dick Gould's 17 national champion teams.
Just so much respect as a fellow college tennis player. When you meet another person that you know that they played and competed at Stanford, you just know Gery was the elite.
Groslimond's time under Gould would later influence his own style of coaching.
So I actually spent a lot of time with Gould, and they remind me a lot of each other. I can see how Gery's formation happened with Dick Gould. So Dick is extremely personal. He's extremely consistent in message, and Gery was very much the same way.
Groslimond played professionally for about a year and a half, eventually leaving the tour when he was offered a job teaching at Big Canoe in Georgia in 1974. The same year, Groslimond won the Atlanta City Open, a top Georgia tournament outside the Pro Tour. The victory made a name for him in the Atlanta area and opened many doors. He was then hired as the pro at the new WCT Peachtree World of Tennis in Norcross.
Well, I think after playing on the tour for a year and a half, Gery came back and he won the Atlanta City Open, and winning that tournament, I think, just gave him some more recognition in addition to a great college career, great junior career. And from there, he just had a huge following.
In 1983, Groslimond took over the men's program at Georgia Tech, where he would coach future touring pros Kenny Thorne and Brian Shelton.
Gery was able to recruit actually some kids out from California and from all over the country. I mean, not only is Georgia Tech a great school academically, but under Gery's tutelage, they were a top 20 program.
Groslimond would go on to coach and teach at the Old Standard Club at Lenox Park Tennis Center, where he opened his Tennis Academy of the South, which he has maintained since 2012 at the Sandy Springs Tennis Center.
He resurrected the academy format, and it happened to be at the Standard Club. And so really the theme through Gery's whole life has been wherever he goes, the players come to him. And in that day, that was just a fairly affordable location for him to hop into. And so he did. Right in the heart of Buckhead is the Old Standard Club. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you've got the best tennis players in Atlanta coming to train with Gery.
And Gery made me sort of an offer that I couldn't refuse for a 21 or 22-year-old kid, was to be his number 2 guy in building up his academy. And so I had a fantastic 2 years with Gery. And that's when I really realized how hard the business of tennis is. And then 40 years later almost, Gery's still going at it, and his resume just keeps getting better and better.
Gery Groslimond has helped develop 12 All-Americans, 5 national champions, and more than 250 future college players in a 50-year Georgia coaching career.
He had a very defined way of playing the game of tennis, and so he taught us all really good footwork, high net clearance, top spin, deep ground strokes. So we really, he had a very sort of playbook that he used with many of us.
Some of the analogies that he uses and, rules that he has you follow when you're on the court just really stick in your mind and really helps you with the mental side of the game.
Among the more successful players who have trained under Groslimond are Georgia Tennis Hall of Fame members Al Parker, Alan Miller, Brian Shelton, Kenny Thorne, and Shannon McCarthy, as well as former World Top 100 WTA Tour player Ansley Cargill.
He started coaching a lot of the young pros in the area and took them to that next level, even being best in the world. So he's just great at every level, and somebody that's really reached a lot of families.
While coaching hundreds of successful players, it is the relationships with many of them that will be his greatest legacy.
He genuinely cares for you as a person, not just as a player. I mean, I can remember some of my favorite lessons with him. I was just sitting on the bench next to him, and he was just checking in on me. And he could really just develop that relationship with you to know how to coach you the best way to make you the best player possible.
The results on court are just one indication of Gery's success, but here's a good example. My parents couldn't afford to pay Gery, and so Gery gave me lessons for free. And so he impacted my parents' lives. So for every kid that was on the court, there's a family behind that kid, and there's a crowd rooting section. So I think Gery not only influenced the children on the courts, the competitors, their families, and now that we're all grown-ups, our families. And I think our families have all benefited from Gery's work ethic, discipline, values, and the things we all learned from Gery on the court.
Congratulations to Gery Groslimond, a 2024 inductee into the Georgia Tennis Hall of Fame.